Part 1, AI in the Workplace by Michael Lively. I'm what you call the enthusiastic innovator. I've built a career on learning the newest technology and evangelizing that technology within an organization. For the most part, this has worked for me. I've done okay. However, over the years, I've had to run faster and faster to keep up with the newest thing, from an easy jog in the park to an all-out sprint in an Olympic marathon. On November 30th of last year, I came to a dead stop. I met a technology that could do what I could do, what took me a lifetime to learn, in just a single click. And in most cases, better. That was ChatGPT-3. Amazingly, in the first 5 days of the release, OpenAI signed up 1 million users without fancy advertisement, only by word of mouth. To put this into perspective, it took Facebook 10.5 months and Instagram 2.5 months to get 1 million users. Today, OpenAI boasts of 2 million developers building on their API, 100 million weekly active users, and 92% of Fortune 500 companies building on their platform. It's being said that if you aren't using generative AI in the next 18 months, you will be invisible. We've seen this before with the release of the browser in 1993. We used to tell folks if you don't have a website, in the next 7 years, your business will be invisible. Can you imagine today a company that doesn't have a website? It's happening in the same way. It's just happening faster. There's a hidden element here. That hidden element are chip makers. Chip manufacturers are creating chips to specifically run AI. The technical infrastructure underneath us is changing. Generative AI is being baked into the web. Elon Musk has dubbed it the most disruptive force in human history. He says AI will be able to do every job. You can work only if you want to. Sam Altman, previous CEO of OpenAI, says its core value is AGI. AGI stands for Artificial General Intelligence. That's AI that can understand, learn, and perform any intellectual task that a human can. Their goal is to have AI agents that you can rent, like consultants, in the next 18 months. AI agents with backstories, specialties, human voices, and human avatars. Given they are remote, like deep fakes, you may not know if they are human or not. It all sounds a little apocalyptic. It feels like we fell asleep during COVID and woke up in a bad sci-fi movie. God made man in his image, and man makes AI. We've put human intelligence in a box. From a biblical perspective, we've solved the Tower of Babel problem. We've created the universal translator. But it just doesn't translate. It codes. It hears, sees, thinks, and speaks. When you solve the universal translator problem, when you have computers thinking like people, you get two things. You get an exponential acceleration in knowledge and extreme efficiency. Now it's time for a reality check. Saying robots take all jobs makes good headlines, gets lots of clicks. But in reality, technology creates wealth. Technology makes jobs. 60% of the jobs we do today were created by computers. It's just mathematics. Where there's an exponential increase in knowledge, there's an exponential increase in work. More work than you can do in many lifetimes, but the nature of that work will change. I love this example. We all love cooking. but we hate doing the dishes. Let the robots do the dishes, and we can do the cooking. For this group of mostly non-technical people, I've got some good news. Generative AI is democratizing, and part of my message today is that you can do this. If you're a Scrum Master, you just got supersized. You can now do things you never thought you could. It's directly related to ChatGPT's multi-modal ability, where it can read, hear, and see. Let me illustrate. If I go into ChatGPT and I type, "Draw relaxing on the beach on a beautiful sunny day, taking in the sun, with far distant mountains," ChatGPT will draw that. If I drop in an audio train whistle, an image of a train passing through will be drawn. But you are now in a cot. I guess that is more comfortable. And a glass of wine, I guess, to calm your nerves as the train passes. If you throw in an image of an elephant, the train is replaced by elephants, and your wine is taken away. Because nobody wants a drunken elephant on the beach. With multimodal, we are interacting with the large language model system using text, sound, and an elephant. From a theoretical perspective, we didn't draw these images. We found them in an all possibilities image vector database, containing all possible images, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. It's vaster than the universe many times over. I'm using text, sound, and images to steer a vector to a single point in this multidimensional space where this image already exists. This is why we have a problem with copyright. How do you copyright a point on a number line? How do you copyright a point in multidimensional space? You didn't draw these images. You found them. This works for computer programs as well. That's where the Scrum Master gets his kick. You can now draw a picture of a computer program, put that picture into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT will create that computer program for you. Here's our business scenario. Imagine you are a Scrum Master. It's your job to build a global customer care center. First, you want to build out the overall system, and then start filling in the pieces, delivering value along the way. That's what we do as Scrum Masters. You pull your team together and draw the overall framework on a whiteboard using UML diagramming. Your team puts in a few notes here and there, and then you take a snapshot, upload it, and ChatGPT creates the program. You have just completed 3 sprints of work in 4 hours. The skill sets you need to learn to survive generative AI are diagramming and whiteboarding. Here's an example of that very diagram being converted to code. But from a theoretical perspective, just like the images, we didn't write this code. We found it by using the diagram as a prompt in multidimensional vector space. This code is a single point in multidimensional vector space. You can do the same thing with a web page. In this example, I took a snapshot of a desired web page and created it using prompts. For prompt 1, I asked ChatGPT to create an HTML input page from the image. It combined the HTML and CSS. I didn't want that, so for prompt 2, I asked ChatGPT to separate the HTML and the CSS, but the website was ugly. So in prompt 3, I asked ChatGPT to change the style.css file to make the web page more appealing. In 5 minutes, I had a working, attractive input forms page made from 106 lines of code. The average coder writes about 10 to 100 lines of functional code a day. If I had given the same problem to that average coder at the beginning of the day, and at the end of the day he had given me a functional website like this one, I would have been very happy. But we created 106 lines of code in 5 minutes, not in an entire day. That's a 10,000% efficiency. As I mentioned, when you teach machines to think like people, you get an exponential increase in knowledge and extreme efficiency. The first time I used generative AI on a project that typically took 4 months, and I did it in 6 hours, I was sold. I was cooked. I wasn't going back. I recently saw the same number, 10,000% efficiency, from a paper published by NASA using satellites and generative AI to measure iceberg melt. If you think this is nuts, if you think this is crazy, you haven't seen anything yet. On the heels of AGI, Artificial General Intelligence, is ASI, Artificial Superintelligence. In the next 5 years, we will solve the quantum computing problem, getting 30 years of compute time in 10 seconds. We will enter into the age of realistic simulation. We'll have holodecks, realistic simulation chambers, where we will make Nobel Prize level discoveries every 2 to 3 days, not a lifetime, but every 2 to 3 days. This is a very rapidly changing area. It seems like every day we're hearing of a new groundbreaking AI discovery. We are on an exponential S-curve. For you guys who want to try out generating a website from an image, Draw a UI was just released 2 days ago by Sawyer Hood. It is free, and you can download it to your machine from GitHub and draw interfaces and create web pages. It's nuts. It works for databases as well, and cloud infrastructure. As shown for a database, just draw the schema, and it creates the code. You have been listening to Part 1 of AI in the Workplace by Michael Lively.